what's going on, everyone? Joe Menza here, and I said before I was going to go back to basics, and that's what I'm going to do now. I've got a pad of Strathmore 300 in front of me. This is what we call the Ron Ranson palette: ultramarine blue, lemon yellow, alizarin crimson, light red, raw sienna, burnt umber, and Payne's gray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors. Okay. And this is the Ron Ranson Hake. If you've never heard of it, it's a brush made of goat hair. It's a big brush. And they also make smaller sizes. If you're not comfortable with that, you can use either one. So you basically need this. I'm painting flat at the moment. You can tip it. You can put a little underneath, but I'm going to paint flat here. I used to paint on a vertical, but I found over the years, if you don't want things to run, it's better to paint flat. I also have a water bottle. This is called a continuous spray water bottle, so it does very, very fine. You have to have a towel so that you can absorb the excess water, because these brushes, they hold a lot of water. And then you should also have a container nearby that you can wash your brush with, a bowl or a cup or something like that. Sometimes I'll put a lot of water in one of the trays, and I can kind of rinse my brush. But I don't do a lot of brush rinsing. So now if you want to wet your paper initially, you don't have to. But when I first started and I was learning about Ron Ranson's style, he wet his paper initially. A lot of people did, but you don't have to. So you're going wet into wet, basically. And that's basically what I'm saying, basically a lot, but this is back to basics. So I'm going to go and spread this out. And again, this is the big brush. And I know I'm using small pans here. I like travel pans. It's just what I like to do. But if I go ahead and, now let's say I want to do a blue sky, for example. So we'll take a little bit of blue. I don't like to use ultramarine blue completely by itself, but here's the ultramarine blue. Now when you do it, you go ahead and put it on a plate or palette or something and squeeze it out fresh. So here is the ultramarine blue by itself. Add a little water to it. Now, sometimes I like to add either a little Payne's gray to it, darken it up a little bit of alizarin, which will make it purple. You see that? See how it's already turned purple? You want it to get back to more blue, you can go ahead and do that. And again, this brush, it holds a lot of water. You can ask me exactly how much. It's something you really do have to learn. I have another video on water brush control. But when you go ahead and you will place this brush down for the first time, you're going to use the side of the brush. I always thought, you kind of had to use the tip. But no, you're going to use, because this brush is so big, you're going to use the side. And you're basically going to put in your color like that. Now, Ron Ranson did teach us, and I kind of forgot. One of the things he used to do starting out was he would start off with a very light wash of this raw sienna. And let's see here. We're gonna like a light raw sienna wash. Which I did not do. I wanted to start off with after putting the water on, like this. So you'd put a light wash on. Wet my paper a little more because I'm talking and I'm not moving along quickly. And that's your light raw sienna wash. Now, I do these for you, not because I'm trying to show you I'm the greatest painter. I'm not. Someone told me one time there's better artists on YouTube, and there are. There most definitely are. I'm trying to show you the fun of this particular technique. That's what I want to show you. Now, a lot of times people are interested in like doing mountains, and for like mountains, if you want to put a simple mountain range in the background, take a little bit of blue, just like your sky. Tiny bit of red. That's almost too purple. I like to fill these pans up with water. Get them nice and juicy. And then if you don't want to use that, you can use the small brush if that's easier for you to handle, but it still has a lot of good water absorption. And you could put in a little simple mountain range in the back. Like so, okay? Now, something that I like to do that I found along the way is I'll take a soft brush, and if I'm not happy with the sky, I will take and I will spray it again. As people say, don't touch the sky again. Now remember, I'm showing you back to basics, but I'm also showing you things I've learned along the way. Now watch this. If I take my brush while it's wet, and this could vary depending on what paper you're using, mind you, but I could actually blend this. Soft blend. This, again, this is Strathmore 300. If a paper doesn't do this, I probably wouldn't use it. See, and I could do a soft blend with this brush, a clean, dry brush, and very lightly, I can actually make adjustments to that sky. And I could also come back if I wanted to. If I wanted to make things a little darker. Boy, I'm using a lot of water. Must be dry today. I was trying to make a little bit more of a purpley effect. And while this is still wet, we could make more cloud patterns in here. Now you can let this sit where it is, but it's really better to not mess with it. Just let that dry as it is. But again, if you want to do some blending with a clean, dry brush, I found that this works. I found that I could blend this in. Again, it depends on the paper. Okay, and then we'll come back and let's revisit this mountain area again. Now, say we have a mountain range like this. I was talking about the Maroon Bells in Colorado. I was there one time, and wow, what a scene. It's like a Bob Ross scene come to life. So this could be that from a distance, I suppose. You know, if you've seen that scene. Some mountains coming down. This is burnt umber by itself, but I haven't washed the brush, so there's still blue on there. And if you add blue and burnt umber together, they are a great combination. And Payne's gray. And you can come down and... Now you could scrape these mountains, you can lift. You can actually come back with your brush and you can lift out, if you clean it and dry it, and make little marks that will show up later when it dries. So that's also another thing you could do. Now, let's say we want to have, let's grab some of this raw sienna here. Let's create a little bit of a plane here. And maybe we want to have some water back in here. So again, this is raw sienna, whatever was on the brush. And we're going to create sort of a, this could be water here, I don't know yet. And we'll take a little bit of the burnt sienna, a little blue. And I like to make a darker color. When I've done this color, I'll come back with a darker color. Just so it's two-tone like. It makes it just look more realistic. And maybe I want to put some trees in the back, so I'll go and I'll grab some of this yellow. Still really haven't cleaned the brush. Actually got some old green on the palette, but mix blue and yellow, Payne's gray. And if you want to make some distant trees back here, maybe some trees coming down along here, even in through here, we could make, turn your brush different ways. Turn your brush all different ways. By the way, I'm just doing something from imagination. I've painted long enough that I've probably done scenes like this already. People say, oh, how do you do it from imagination? Well, I painted 1,000 scenes. So here we go. We have this, and then we have this in the background for this. And if you want to, now we'll take and we'll spray this. Time to clean the brush because I don't want brown water. So we'll take a little bit of this blue. It's still not clean. I'm gonna grab a clean brush. I can wash that one later. And we'll go ahead and, again, I'm not holding the water in these pans. There's a nice blue. And we can take this and we can drag it across. Like look at how I have this balanced. Drag this across, leave these little streaky areas, leave a little bit of white. And now if you want to take and make some shrubbery here, that's what I like to do. And dip this in. Now we're not going into any real water here. And then what everybody likes to see, and lately I've been using here, let me make this a little bit darker with some burnt umber and some of this. I need some darks here. So I could show you this. I use a plastic palette knife now. I used to use a credit card, but they're always being misplaced. So I have this here, and you just turn your card and you can scrape. And even here, you can make a little line going across. This is, start doing some scraping. I mean, you don't want to overdo it. I'm doing this again for you so you can see. Some will say, oh, there's too many rocks. The criticism that I get sometimes is like, hey, I'm trying to show you something. I'm not trying to show you how, like, this is the greatest painting ever or anything. I want you to see what can be done. I want you to pick up a brush and go, hey, I could do that. I think I could do that. And really actually do it. Not need 7 years of experience. See, again, you can take the soft, clean brush. You can drag these things out. Okay, if you want to make like, you know, little shadowy things or stuff like that, I could bring this down. When you pull this down, if I put a bush here and pull this down, then we can also put like the line for the, little bit of line for the water. Just to show you everything that you can do. Now, if you want to do is you want to say, leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone. No, because I want to show you what you can do. That's the whole purpose of this. So I'm going to take some burnt umber and some blue. And a little bit of water because, again, I think it's dry in here. I really like using that spray bottle. It's very handy. I could dip this in the water, but I actually don't have a bowl of water next to me. I don't know why I didn't plan properly. So let's say from down here somewhere, there's a tree that comes into it. So here's a nice tree. And then I'll show you bark scraping. Now, if your light is coming from this side, take the small side of this and just kind of drag it down. This is like tree bark, but it also looks like a highlight. And then I'll take and I'll turn it a little bit and try to add a little bit of tree bark. Now, some of this looks kind of funny, I think. So I'll take this and I'll just kind of dab that in a little bit and take away some of that. Now, I don't have, one of the things let me see, I'm reaching down here. Let me see if I have a rigger brush handy. So I can, now I gotta do some tree branches, of course. Come on. One down here. Here we go. And a rigger brush. This is a long, thin brush that you can use to make lines, basically. The smallest brush I will use, and only for this purpose. And make a nice dark. So you can, some people will say, don't put it, I like bare trees, don't put leaves on it. It's up to you. I'm showing you what you can do. If you want a bare tree, have a bare tree. Have a bare tree. If you want leaves, take your brush, dip it liberally in this green, and make your brush look insane like this. And then you could tap in all these leaves just by tapping the brush. That's what makes this Hake brush so great. is you can do these effects. You can do this stuff, okay? Now, I was gonna do, but there wasn't enough on my brush. And while I have it like that, I can tap in some more things down here if I wanted to. If I wanted to put in a little bit more yellow. But don't do too much, because then it starts turning into mud. See, if I wanted to put some grass around the base of this tree. So, you know, right now for me, this scene, it's a little too brown. I'd probably start looking at ways I could, you know, make it look less brown. But for our purposes here, this is fine. And what we'll do again here, let's take a little, put a couple of little birds in there, and then I'll show you what I like to do. Let me move everything off to the side. I'm going to grab an old mat here. Let's zoom this out. And then we'll set this on top. And there is our scene. I think it looks pretty good. And I showed you the sky. I showed you the distant mountain, putting in land masses, tree leaves, scraping in that, and doing a little reflection type stuff. A lot done in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something out of it. And we will see you on another one in this series, Back to Basics. Thanks for watching, everyone.